Isn't it interesting that everything we know about the organism that we've described so far, the nucleocapsid, the envelope protein, the protein on the surface, the S protein, it's all synthetic. It was engineered in the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Think about this. A very unnatural thing got us all sick. It's unnatural. It was not supposed to happen. Now, and I'm a drug prescribing doctor. That's what I do. I prescribe prescription drugs, and I do clinical trials with prescription drugs. And that's the world I live in. And working on this for years, there was not a single prescription drug that seemed to answer her question of how do I take care of this problem now that I've taken it in the body. It's so interesting that virtually everything we used in the acute infection was from a natural source, and that everything we're using now in the process called detoxification is from a natural source. So let's take the acute infection. From the very beginning, a virus goes in the nose and mouth. We actually, in the end, used that saline, salt water, is partially effective against that in early ways of the infection. Iodine, which is natural, is very effective against it. Xylitol, which is a natural sugar from corn cob and plants, that's very effective. So nasal sprays and gargles were effective. In the first line of treating the illness, aspirin is derived from the bark of birch trees. HCQ is derived from the cinchona bark. IVM is derived from the soil in Japan, used to treat river blindness and other illnesses. Isn't that just the most amazing observation? We used corticosteroids, which are derived from animals' adrenal glands originally. We used heparins, forms of blood thinners that come from the intestines of cows and the lungs of pigs. That everything we used to treat the infection that was effective was natural. Now in detoxification, we learned that both the virus and the injectable products, they leave large quantities of the Wuhan protein in our body. This protein is about, it's probably about 3,400 amino acids in its code, 1,200 or 3,400 base pairs, 1,200 amino acids in its length, glycosylated side chains. The protein is not assailable by human enzymes. So once this protein is in your body, you take it in the arm, the genetic code tells the body to produce a protein, it builds up in your body, and you can't stop it. Experts, molecular biology experts, Kevin McKernan, others have said, listen, the genetic code that you take in the arm, that probably is dissolved by human enzymes that can actually slice up the code. We don't know how long it takes, but the code has been found circulating in blood for a month. Maybe it's longer. That's worrisome right there. But the human body has got to get rid of that stuff. But the protein, this Wuhan protein, damages organs. It's been found in every organ in the body, causes blood clots, may be carcinogenic. This thing's the most toxic protein I've ever seen in my career. Found in the brain at autopsy, found in the heart causing inflammation, found in the eyes, the skin, everywhere. And we can't get rid of it. So the brilliance was early on the Japanese, Dr. Tanakawa gets great credit for this. They were trying to find a way to prevent the infection. They said, listen, we're going to have to strip off this surface protein. We got to find something that's going to break it down. And they found nattokinase. Now, the Japanese have been eating natto, which is partially fermented soybeans, for breakfast forever because it has cardiovascular benefits for over 1,000 years. There's papers written on this.
It's an acquired taste.
I've had it myself. It's not too bad.
It's not bad. It's just acquired, yeah.
It's acquired. It fills you up. You eat some natto, boy, you're ready for the day. But it has a natural enzyme in it called nattokinase. Nattokinase is a thrombolytic. It breaks up micro blood clots, okay? They use it to actually try to reduce plaque in the carotid arteries and the coronary arteries. It's anti-atherosclerotic, lowers cholesterol a little bit, lowers blood sugar a little bit. But uniquely, when it comes to the Wuhan protein, this foreign protein that's in our body, it slices it up. In fact, they did experiments where if you take the virus that has the projections all over it, and you put it around nattokinase, it just strips it off. It makes it a useless ball. So they rendered They rendered the virus, basically neutered it by dissolving this protein. It was that good. They used it in cell lysate models and in intact cell models. And this product, you take it orally, it gets partially absorbed into the bloodstream, and then it will get partially distributed to tissues, but it doesn't harm cells. So what a brilliant discovery. So Japan scores big on nattokinase. So nattokinase is the first thing we included in the protocol. Then we said, listen, this is like any other protocol development in the setting of emergency, we need redundancy. We're not going to rely on one thing. Just like with acute treatment, I didn't say, oh, here, just take this one magic pill. No, it's 4 to 6 drugs in combination. This is a difficult syndrome. The post-infection long C syndromes and the post-inoculation syndromes are long-term problems, multiple drugs. But the key is the protein. If we just treat the symptoms or treat inflammation, people don't get better. This protein is stuck in the human body. We measure in my clinic, we measure antibodies to protein. They're sky high years after taking it in the arm. People must be producing a ton of this for years. The second thing was bromelain. Bromelain is a family of enzymes derived from the stems of pineapples. Multiple studies show in different places, it slices up the Wuhan protein. Wonderful, that's on base. Even the fragments can cause inflammation and cause symptoms. And there, the Indians get great credit. They've done a lot of research with curcumin, which is derived from turmeric. And curcumin is a natural anti-inflammatory. It's been used for ages for arthritis. And there are prospective, randomized, double-blind trials in people in these post-acute sequelae syndromes. And they feel better and measures of inflammation drop. So curcumin's in. So those 3, nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin, became the first base detoxification protocol. Now, both the early treatment and the detoxification were copyrighted in my name for only one reason, so people can locate them. I have no financial interest in these. I don't have any patents or royalty streams.
Well, this is why pharma can't patent them, because they're just derived from nature.
They're derived from nature, and they're just the protocol is copyrighted, and it's copyrighted internationally too. And boy, has it been worthwhile to do that, because the fact that people need to look at it. So when say people say McCullough protocol A, they know me. So that takes. I didn't call it the Dallas protocol or I used my name. And that's symbolic for an important reason. I stand behind it. I'm responsible for it. And I'm responsible for the outcomes or the lack of outcomes that people have and the side effects they have when they do it. It's very important. We haven't had anybody in the industry of the injectable products in the arm say, listen, I'm responsible. I'm standing behind this. No one. There's been nobody in the mask industry say, listen, I'm responsible for the masks. I said they were going to work. No one. There's been no one in the hand sanitizer business. So this is the ultimate put up or shut up. I scientifically conceived this. I copyrighted it, and I was the first to publish it and memorialize it in the history of medicine, both for acute treatment and follow-up. There's a lot of other people talking, but I'm the one doing. And what we did is, listen, we're going with this. This is a base. We started with conservative doses. Now we've learned to double or even quadruple the doses. So the starting doses were natto, 2,000 fibrinolytic units twice a day, curcumin 500 milligrams twice a day, and bromelain 500 milligrams a day. We've now, and that became the ultimate detox wellness company. Now I am the chief scientific officer of the wellness company, so I advise them on this. This became the most widely used trio called the Ultimate Detox. We're soon going to release extra strength detox, which is doubling the doses of all of them. Jordan Vaughn, who's an internist in Birmingham, he runs the largest blood clot center in the country now. People took it in the arm. They got huge blood clots. They go see Jordan in Birmingham. Jordan just testified in Congress. He's a terrific internist. Jordan's using 16,000 units of natto plus prescription blood thinners to dissolve these blood clots. And I've seen loads of these blood clots in my Dallas office. And let me tell you, they don't dissolve with blood thinners like Eliquis or Pradaxa or Xarelto or Coumadin. They actually need the enzymes, the detoxification enzymes, the nattokinase and bromelain to dissolve these guys. And it can take a year or more. So I put this out there as a proposal, an empiric proposal. After observing hundreds and hundreds of patients in my clinic and talking to other doctors because we don't have funding for large prospective double-blind randomized placebo-controlled trials. Now, if we had the funding, we could do the research and it would take about 5 to 20 years. They always do. I've led large randomized trials myself. I've published in the best journals. I know the randomized trials work. They're wonderful instruments, but they take time. We don't have 5 to 20 years for people suffering with all these problems right now. On top of that, the Biden administration and HHS, they spent $1 billion on this problem, particularly the sequelae after the infection, and they've come up with 0 protocols, nothing. There is no government protocol. So we're right back to like the acute infection. When I told Tucker Carlson there's no Harvard protocol, he was blown away. I said, yeah, our flagship institutions don't know how to treat anything regarding this early infection, and they don't know how to do anything with respect to treating the complications after people taking it. Mayo Clinic doesn't have a protocol. They don't even measure anything related to the key protein that's causing the problem. They're lost. There is a collective, complete oblivion, a lassitude on what's going on, and people are acutely ill. So I said, listen, I'm going to go out here. I'm going to directly observe. I'm going to modify. One of the first modifications is if there's any subclinical or clinical myocarditis or chest inflammation, colchicine. It's a prescription drug. It was used extensively during the acute illness. There's now a network meta-analysis of 39 separate analyses showing there was a mortality reduction in the acute illness. Like when I had it, I took this product. It's a prescription drug we use for gout. It's a specific anti-inflammatory. It's derived from the petals of a purple flower, but it's a prescription drug. So it's a natural product. So colchicine, I am prescribing large amounts of colchicine, large amounts, because there's a great concern that the next person could have a cardiac arrest. And there's even been publications where people have iatrogenic myocarditis, they get put on colchicine, they get better, they go off colchicine, the myocarditis comes back, they go back on colchicine. In one of these papers from Germany, they actually even gave a 3rd dose in the arm of the product that caused the problem, and the patient survived it. So colchicine is a magic drug. I think colchicine plus the detoxification could be the answer to saving a lot of lives, and I'm prescribing a ton of it. Another addition, this is very interesting, is it turns out that in some of these syndromes, the virus from multiple infections is still in the body replicating. And there was an autopsy study from Chertow and colleagues from the NIH taking skin biopsies and eye biopsies, and the virus is there in people who have died 9 months later. They have the virus. Is
this what exacerbates the shedding? Is this what adds to shedding?
It could be, or it could be the fact that people just feel chronically sick afterwards. They call it long C. That's what they call it. Anyhow, I have found that when there's cranial nerve abnormalities, trigeminal neuralgia, Bell's palsy, cutaneous, sometimes there's rashes that just don't go away. The Chertow data suggested the virus is alive and in the skin months later. So there we use IVM, that important drug that's derived from the soil in Japan. And we use it, I use it for 90 days for that. If there are signs of autoimmunity where the body has turned an immune system attack against it. So everybody with one of these conditions, like she said, what are you going to do about it? She would come in, she would get an exam, she'd get laboratories. Among the laboratories, she would get an autoimmune screen. I measure the anti-neutrophil antibody, the ANA, the rheumatoid factor, and the anti-citrulated peptide. If there's any skin or kidney involvement, I order a more expensive test called the anti-neutrophil cytoplasmic antibody. If the autoimmune tests turn out positive, and they do, in fact, I have one that just turned positive today. I need to talk to her on the way home. We prescribe HCQ because it's used for autoimmune syndromes before the pandemic anyway. So we're back to our old drugs. The last add-on, which I think is evidence-based now, which you're going to find this very interesting.
Whoa. If you enjoyed that one you just saw, you will love this one on the screen. Click it and enjoy.